Like everyone else I know, I've been thinking about Aretha Franklin today and how much her music has meant to me. All those memories that I associate with the fantastic songs she recorded all these years, they all remind me of a certain time, of a certain place in my life. And one came to mind this morning from 1965. I was a freshman at Franklin and Marshall College in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's the middle of Amish country, and the 60s never made it to Amish country. There was nothing to do there on a weekend. And so I got a job on the local college radio station, and I had my own show every Friday night for 4 hours. I basically would play my record collection. And I had my own ritual. I would go to the local record store and see what they had that was new. Well, it wasn't really a record store. After all, this is a Lancaster. It was a five and dime and a Woolworths with a little section in the back that they sold records. And on this particular Friday, as I went back to the record section, there was a discussion going on between Mr. Woolworth, the owner of the store, and an African-American woman. Now, there were not many blacks in Lancaster, in Amish country, so I was paying attention to this. Now, this woman was trying to buy a record that she didn't know the name of or the artist, but she did keep saying to him that it was a spelling song. This drew a blank on him. He's not a music guy, and she kept saying, you know, it's got this A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Don't know what it means to me. I get into the discussion and I say, RESPECT, respect. That's the song. I said to her, you have the song? He's got the song. Everyone's happy. She's got her 45. She says, can you play it? Can you play it? And they had a sound system there, and he puts it on. Respect and Aretha fill the five and dime. And soon, the woman's kind of grooving. And she looks at me, and we're listening to the song. We're enjoying it. And we look over at Mr. Amish Woolworth, and, you know, for who he was enjoying it too. And that's what made Aretha Franklin great and her music great. It pulled people together. No one was immune to it. No one was immune to it either when she started, when she was just a young teenager and she sang gospel songs on Sundays at the piano at her house. Her father was a reverend, and if there was musicians in town, they were all invited for dinner. And they'd all sit around the piano and sing gospel songs with Aretha, and word got out about this incredible talent. And soon record companies were coming around and bidding on her services. And the ones that won was Columbia Records from New York City. And the person who won over all of them, who signed her, his name was John Hammond. Now, who is John Hammond? John Hammond was one of the great promoters of jazz, of integration, and the greatest A&R record man ever. He discovered and signed, you ready for this? Count Basie, Billie Holiday, Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and Aretha Franklin. She signed to Columbia. The thing was, nothing happened for her at Columbia. For 5 years, she made a blues album like this, a jazz record, a covers record. Nothing worked because Columbia didn't understand her and her music. They didn't understand the roots of her music. They were trying to fit her in a preordained style in a box, and she had no say over what she was recording. And it was a failure. So with the contract just about up, you know, it was done for Aretha. But there was two guys, Jerry Wexler and Ahmet Ertegun, who are watching this very closely. Now, who are they? They own Atlantic Records, and they have made the greatest soul music and R&B music, well, ever. This box set is the canon. It should be in every home. This is the history of Atlantic Records. You can get it on CD, and I'm talking about Ray Charles, Ruth Brown, the Drifters, the Coasters, Benny King, Otis Redding, Sam and Dave. It could just go on and on. These guys know the music. And so on the day that her contract's done, they call up Aretha and they're on the phone to her and they're trying to get her to come over to Atlantic. And she says, why should I go over to your record company? What can you do for me that no one else has been able to do? And Jerry gives her the right answer, which is, we want Aretha Franklin to make an Aretha Franklin album. We want you to choose the songs, and we want you to play piano when you sing, because that's the center of the music, what you bring to it. And we're going to surround you with the greatest session musicians of funk and soul you have ever heard. Now this, she signs. And so a month or so later, they're headed down to Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Why Muscle Shoals? Why Fame Studios? Because that's where the best records for that kind of music were being recorded. Wilson Pickett recorded there. I mean, Duane Allman was one of the guitar players down there. They are a great place to record. And Aretha walks in very excited, and she looks around and she sees, as she puts it, nothing but crackers. Jerry, these are all white guys. I thought you said I was going to get the best soul musicians. Don't worry, Aretha. These are the guys. First song that they record, first day. I never loved a man the way I loved you. Needless to say, they knew they were onto something. They had something great. Drinks were served. Too many drinks were served. Aretha's manager, who's also her husband, gets very drunk, as does the head of Fame Studios. He gets drunk, and the two of them get into an argument, and then a fist fight. A couple musicians join in. Aretha and her husband leave. They're not coming back to record the rest of the record. Jerry Wexler is more than pissed. He never returns to Fame Studios in the next 30 years of his career. He talks them into Aretha and stuff to record in New York, and they bring these musicians, minus the owner of the studio, up to New York to record, and that's where her music was recorded. Another great record that she did there is Aretha Now, and the reason I'm bringing it up today is because her cover of I Say a Little Prayer for You. Put that on, listen to it, and hear her voice soar, and think about saying a prayer for Aretha. Now, there's another story that runs into this one, and it comes from Carole King's autobiography, which is a very, very interesting book about a very, very interesting woman who certainly has carved a fantastic career around herself, a great songwriter. And her husband at the time, Jerry Goffin, are two of the top songwriters in the business, and they're walking down Broadway. So right away, you know this is going to be a great story. They're on Broadway, headed for the Brill Building, and this big black limo pulls up. And the window comes down, and it's Jerry Wexler. And how are you? And everything. Congratulations on Aretha. And Jerry says, speaking of Aretha, I've been looking for you. I need a song for Aretha's second record. Can you write me a song for Aretha? You know, do you have time? Of course we can. So what kind of song you want, and when do you need it? He says, well, I need the song tomorrow. And you know, like Respect was such a big hit, and so about a strong person. I want a song about a strong woman. Carol, you can write a song about a strong woman. Window goes up, he's gone. So now they live out in Jersey in the suburbs. They get in the car and they drive out to Jersey, and they're talking about this song all the way. And they get home and they got a piano. By the end of the afternoon, they got the song, you know, and they play it and they record a demo of it. A little demo that they're going to send in. Now you all know what the song is. You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman. So they send it in and they don't hear back. Days go by, nothing. A week goes by, 2 weeks. So finally they call up Jerry Wexler. Now they're thinking the song's no good. The demo was no good because they thought they'd hear right away. They're so confident. And Jerry gets on the phone and they say, Jerry, you didn't like the song? Like the song? I love the song. It's a fantastic song. You haven't heard the song? Come on over here. I'll play the song for you. Now, when Carole King gets to the studio, she talks about, in her autobiography, this being one of the greatest 3.5 minutes of her life. Because she hears this. She hears her little demo. Well, it's been made into greatness. And Carole King, the genius, really understands the genius that Aretha brought to her. And while she's listening, she starts crying, and Jerry Goffin puts his arm around her. And the two of them are standing there in the studio crying, hearing this song. She says she never forgot it. It was made everything, every hard bit of work that she did, and songs being turned down, worth it. Now, another great piece of Aretha's music is this live at the Fillmore West. I highly recommend this record because the band on this are motherfuckers. It's King Curtis and Aretha And it was 3 nights. You can buy all 3 nights on this CD, but it's the last night that you want. Because on the last night, towards the end, joining Aretha on stage is Ray Charles. King Curtis, Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles. They lift the roof off the place. That's greatness. Ray and Aretha together. Now, if I could have my way, I would like to see both of them on Mount Rushmore. Because Aretha, you make us feel.